Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind you. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind you. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level, don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win. Hey.
Hey.
I was like, what am I looking at? I couldn't.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Overreaction Monday here on YSN. DJ Yoakley, a.k.a. Tony Stark, with you, alongside Anthony Ronald Hartwig, the 8-time best-selling author. It is really hard to talk in this thing, I'm not going to lie to you. But it is sweet as hell. I've been waiting for this like a little child for months. Yeah, let's go! Oh, yeah, we're ready. We're ready. That was my... Here, I got to do this while I get my earbuds. All right, enough of that shenanigans. It is an Overreaction Monday here on YSN Live. DJ Yoakley and the one, the only, Mr. Anthony Ronald Hartwig with you. So happy to be joined by all of you today as I disappear into the Stark Mansion. Man, what a weekend it was, Ant. We got a lot to overreact about for a lot of different reasons, but I'll tell you what, man. What a weekend it was. What a Friday night it was for local sports. Obviously, we had to say goodbye and farewell and rest in peace to another couple teams. And we're going to go over their seasons, which were incredibly impressive. If you make it to week 13, Anthony, we talked to Coach Hake on Friday. Excuse me, Coach Spate as well. There is nothing to hang your head about if you make it to week 13. Nothing. I mean,
yeah, it's one of those things. I think we talk about it every time a school loses. It's hard to understand and grasp that in the moment. But I think once you are able to get past the hurt that the loss has, you start to reflect and go, we're in the top 16, right? Semifinals. Regional semifinals is basically your Sweet 16 in the state. So in our division, where we're the top 16 teams, that's saying something when you're over 100 teams in almost every division. So You're top 16 and 100. That's a really good thing to be. And I know everyone wants to win a state championship, and of course, moral victories are kind of hard to come by. But at the same time, only one team gets to end the season happy. And if it's not you and you exit in the top 16, that's something to be proud about, of course. And it takes a minute to realize that because it hurts. The further you go, the more it hurts to lose. But I think once you start to get reflective a little bit, once you can have that clarity a little bit, you absolutely get proud of the season.
Yeah, and it sounds like we're downplaying this a little bit. It sounds like we're, handing out participation trophies, but the reality is, I mean, it is so hard to win a state championship, and it's not ever given. And you talk to coaches like Andy and like Coach Spate, and they'll tell you straight up that there's a lot of bounces and things that have to go your way that usually don't. There's is the rain's a factor. Where you play is a factor. There's a lot of kind of different tentacles that have to all be swimming to make that octopus kind of go in one direction. So one of the teams that I certainly want to acknowledge, two of the teams that I certainly want to acknowledge right off the jump, the Canfield Cardinals, who had an incredible season, going 9-1 in the regular season, and then keeping on in the postseason. They get that first round bye, and then they win their next game, controlled it the next game. And then, a tough VASJ team comes into Bob Dove Field. They're good, man. I mean, they had like a 6'6" receiver. Yeah, I was talking to a couple people, and he threw for a touchdown. I mean, they got some dogs. I mean, Bo Jackson was not that Bo Jackson. The different Bo Jackson that went to Ohio State was one of their athletes last year. And guess what? VASJ is going to always attract athletes, but a valiant effort by the Canfield Cardinals to fight, and they never gave up. And that's something you got to be proud of. Something you got to be proud of if you're a Canfield Cardinal fan. So way to go, Cardinals. Nice 2025 season. Coach Ignacio, as always, we tip our cap to you because, man, you talk about a guy that does it right constantly, the right way, has his kids wanting to be better for themselves and each other and for their community. That's Joe Ignacio football all day. So excited to see what 2026 holds for Coach Ignacio and the boys. But then certainly Fitch. We thought Fitch could have a night against Walsh Jesuit. And when you're in D2, when you're playing some of those teams that they're going to play and you play the schedule that Fitch plays, some nights, you get the cat and some nights the cat gets you.
Yeah, I think Fitch, if you told them they scored 21 points, they would say, well, with our defense, that gives us a good chance to at least be in the game, have opportunities to win. But Walsh's offense was able to expose some things in that Fitch defense that no one's really been able to do this year. They scored 42 on that Fitch team. I know they had some non-offensive touchdowns. I think they actually the first time Fitch kicked off was a kickoff return for a touchdown. So that obviously hurts a little bit. But Fitch able to score pretty well against Walsh's defense, 21 points. But they just couldn't keep up defensively, unfortunately, which has been their calling card all year. They've been a defensive team. So when someone's able to expose some things on a good defense, that's going to be a tough night, obviously.
You look at Coach Parker and what he was able to do with his team this year. And I still think, even with us getting into week 13, I think this Fitch team is dangerous. They're always dangerous moving forward. Yeah. What am I talking about? But they went under the radar this year, and ourselves included. I think that, we had a show out there on one particular Thursday night, but Fitch had a ton of talent this year and didn't get necessarily the appreciation they deserved.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it in previewing this game. Fitch was always that team in the past that could be really good and had a lot of talent, but wasn't able to ever make that big step or make those playoff wins possible. But so maybe that's why they were under the radar, because of their history. But when you look at the team and the makeup and the talent, they just actually went and did it this year. They said, we're not going to be undisciplined. We're not going to beat ourselves. We're not going to make those plays that kind of hurt us in the past. And that's what they did. They were a disciplined team the whole year. They didn't have any chemistry issues. They didn't have any off the field issues all year. They just kind of stayed loose and stayed good. They didn't have the penalties. They didn't have the turnovers that they've had in the past. They just were a consistent team this year. And outside the one loss in the first week of the season, they really ran roughshod throughout the whole year. So this Fitch team kind of proved to everyone that, okay, we can put things together now. We can have a good culture, not just good talent. And that's what they did really well this year. They put together a really strong, consistent, dominant culture of Fitch football. Never let up the gas pedal. Never had a game really where you thought maybe even they escaped with a win, but they didn't really look like they were a dominant team. They looked very, very good all season long consistently. And that's what they've been looking for in the past. So they found consistency, and that makes them dangerous.
And it's interesting because we talk about young teams. This is a very relatively young area. When it comes to what we saw on the football field this year, there's a lot of skill positions that are going to be cemented in for next year for TJ Parker. And week 13 obviously is going to be that water level line that they're going to want to get back to and then push the envelope to week 14, 15, and 16 heading on to the 2026 season. So we're excited to see what they do, because we know there's a lot of teams that work hard, but very few teams that work harder than Fitch when it comes to off-season programs and impressive programs. The Valentine's, it was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre that they do every year. I mean, it's awesome. The stuff that TJ's implementing and getting the kids excited about coming to the weight room and clanging and banging every single day. Rep one, Arnold. I don't know if you've ever seen Pumping Iron. If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we must move on to some of the other games of interest. We have 5 graphics of interesting games that happened on your sports network, and one of them being this one right here, and one that, man, we weren't sure necessarily if anybody was going to score at this one for a while. It was 0-0 for a while, and then all of a sudden Perry just kind of plucked a touchdown here, a touchdown there, and just separated himself enough to feel like they had control of the game for the majority of the contest.
Yeah, it was 6-0 at halftime, 6-0 after 3. Perry had some fourth quarter touchdowns to make it look like they were in control the whole game. I'll tell you what, their defense was in control the whole game. You look at the numbers. West Branch had negative 16 rushing yards. Now, obviously, sacks go into that. They had a couple of sacks on Grady Hurst, but they just could not get the running game going, which means their passing numbers actually were pretty impressive, because usually if you make a team one-dimensional in high school, it's going to be a tough day, but they actually did pass the ball pretty well. Grady Hurst had over 250 passing yards, and Gavin Gregory was a big reason why. I think he had like 10 catches, 151 yards. So obviously when you're throwing to him, that's going to be a tough day at the office, but they just couldn't find a way to score. They had a couple of chances in the first half that they were turned away from on downs. Perry's defense is very good. We knew this was going to be a defensive game. It was, and Perry was a team with the experience going to their 4th straight regional final. They came through with the game-winning type plays when they needed.
Certainly Grady Hurst, not Gavin Hurst, as some people who create the big dog of the Valley may mesh those two together accidentally at midnight. Our apologies, certainly. But obviously somebody was a little tired, and that's somebody being the guy that had an Iron Man mask on to open the show. So I will point both thumbs at me and say, hey, sorry, Grady. Sorry, Gavin. But, hey, there was a chance you could have voted for both of them and made some kind of megazord over at West Branch. Let them both win. But again, Big Dogs, by the way, open until tomorrow night at midnight. Get out and vote. This is the last nomination for football and volleyball this year. We will move to the Big Dog of the Year voting starting at the end of the week, or starting at Wednesday, really, to get things going. So tip of the cap to, here we go, Steelers. That's right. And we'll get into that a little later. I noticed you're not wearing red today. Interesting.
No red.
Congratulations to Perry, moving on 21-0. Whoever moved on to this game gets Glenville, correct? So
yes, Glenville won, but they were in a battle. It wasn't easy for Glenville. They played Lake Catholic, and it was, I think, tied at the end of 1, and pretty close. Glenville ended up getting the win by 2 touchdowns, but it was not an easy fight in the regional semis for Glenville. Maybe some things on film that Perry can expose, hopefully, because we want a YSN team in state, of course. So hopefully Perry saw some things on film that they can expose on defense. I expect this to be a very low-scoring game, just like this West Branch one was, because both teams very hard to score on. So it should be a fun game if you like defense.
Hey, Warriors, good season. 2025. Tim Cooper once again doing it. And they came out slinging, Ant. They were throwing the rock a lot in this particular contest. So changing things up as Tim Cooper still, I think, is most cerebral offensive mind in this valley, or at least at the top of that list. So congratulations to Perry. Great season by West Branch. And we move on to a game that was kind of not really a game, Anthony. When Hoban wins 35-3, they've got their pardon me. They have their eyes. Gosh, we got their eyes set on week 16, but they can't get to 16 without winning in week 13, 14, and 15. And boy, this is the matchup everybody wanted. We talked about Walsh Jesuit beating Austintown Fitch. It's Hoban, it's Jesuit again, correct?
Again. These are just the two powerhouses in the region. It was one of those ones, kind of like Poland Girard, that everyone was kind of etching it in pencil, hoping that they could see it. And it happened. And it's kind of feels like destiny. It's going to be Hoban versus Walsh again. And Holman's got the wins in the last couple of years to get into the state semifinals, but Walsh, very motivated team, very good team, a lot of talent. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be one that I'm sure a lot of eyes, not just in our region, but in the state, are going to be on because they kind of know what the powerhouses are. In a perfect world, it would be like a state semifinal matchup, with a little bit more on the line, but they're so close together, obviously. They're separated by, I think, maybe 10 minutes. It can't be that far from Walsh and Canton, from Akron and Hoban. So we're going to see who makes the game-winning type plays down the stretch. That's what it comes down to. When you're evenly matched, who makes those game-different type plays, those 4 or 5 plays that a football game can come down to. Who makes those championship mentality plays? It's what it's going to come down to on Friday. It's going to be a fun one.
I like that nugget that you took from the Book of Hake right there, the 5 plays.
Yeah.
I'm also interested because
Bedford
the other side, Anthony, I believe, is Massillon, which is always interesting. We were there a couple years ago, our first season with Archbishop Hoban, if I'm not mistaken, in that Massillon won.
It was a state championship, I think.
It was, you're going to have to sleep over. It's going to be like Black Friday if you want to get a seat at that, because it was unbelievable. The sidelines were 4 deep. It was nuts, incredible. And we had to park 1.5 miles away, which I'm still shocked that the truck didn't get stolen in that particular evening. However, this game's got me fired up. When you talk about Hoban versus Walsh, everybody, it gets the goosebumps going. But when you're talking about either one of those teams facing off against Massillon potentially, boy, get ready, because that Tom Benson Stadium is going to be rocking if that's the potential matchup in the state championship, which would be fun. But hey, Hoban, keep it going. Keep it going. Hudson was not a small task either, and Hoban took them to task.
Before this week, Hudson was the only loss on Fitch's schedule, so that tells you how good Hudson can be. And like we said, Hoban has the eyes locked in right now. They're not making mistakes. They're not wasting time. They're just getting right to it. And if you're not gonna come with that mentality, you're not gonna beat Hoban. You're not gonna have a chance against Hoban. So I know a lot of people in our area are kind of rolling their eyes because they're like, "Oh, Hoban," they're kind of what they're the Galactic Empire, I guess you could say. We love Hoban. We love the Empire. They were right. The Empire was right? And that's what a lot of people say that are Star Wars fans.
Whoa! All right, let's not get carried away here. Let's not get into Star Wars logic there.
But Hoban, they're that team that you can't deny how good they are. They're just locked in right now.
Impressive to say the least. And if you've never seen an Archbishop Hoban football game and the way that they prepare, the way that they execute, boy, we won't have it on the network this week, but you can certainly go over and watch. I don't know
Rock
where this
Hill,
one's going to be.
By the way, their cornerback going to USC. My word, is he something else? He's the next generation type athlete.
USC, you say, as in
USC,
University of Southern California.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay, so onward we go. Congratulations, Hoban. Keep on moving. Yeah. Yeah.
McDonald's for real.
You can't see the McDonald logo. We got to get that fixed. We got to get like a white McDonald.
It's a dark blue. Yeah.
But
Anthony just has to know that and use a different color background. That's all.
Well, you can flip it, but
I could have flipped the red and the blue.
It's needed. Well, you can flip I'll show you how to do that later. Anyway, 40-13, your final score. McDonald runs through Monroeville. And when I say runs through it, they ran through them, around them, over them, burrowed underneath, like every which way that Dan Williams could get it done. And this team executed perfectly. I think the Blue Devils were tired of hearing the chatter about how good Monroeville was going to lay it to them on Friday night, especially with McDonald having the seed that they did. And you're coming to our house and you're going to talk that kind of trash. All right, well, we'll just go ahead and pick that up for you and recycle it right back onto your own property. How impressive were the Blue Devils on Friday night, Ian?
No, so impressive, especially like during the season. There were a couple of games where McDonald looked like they were shaky. They got the win, but it was like, oh man, what's going on in McDonald? These playoffs, they have kind of fixed all those issues that they were having in the regular season and let teams kind of get close to them, competitive with them. They have turned on a different gear. We saw from the first drive, the very first drive, McDonald had it. They took it right to Monroeville physically. They pounded them up. They went down. They scored a touchdown in their first drive. And it was a physical, just we're going to push you around type of tone-setting drive. And I think that the game was over. I mean, Monroeville didn't want to fight anymore after the first drive. It was kind of one of those really cool things where a football team just says, from the first kickoff, we know we're more physical. We're going to prove it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's all. That's what football is so fun, because you can kind of impose your will on people and make them not want to line up against you anymore pretty quickly.
It was interesting because they used, I think, all their weapons, and that's a deep well to be digging into. We saw, obviously, Kyle Puckett had a night. You have Drew Zajac, who, if you were watching the Yak Cast, just ran wild like Hulk Hogan. I mean, just, let me tell you something, Mean Gene, and just went nuts. He went nutty. And you look at what Casey Miller had his touches. You look at Jordan Perry, Big Dog of the Valley nominee, by the way, went nuts. Crumpack had some of those what do they call them? That around the corner, everybody calls it something different. What was Hate calling it? Do you remember?
Buck, right?
Well, no, they run Buck with the backs, but they do like the end around. I call it end around. They just had and they had fireworks at the end of the game too.
Yes.
And their defense was outstanding. So when you're talking about McDonald, you have to at least, come on. At this point, they're going to week 14. This is the 100th year. It's starting to add up, Anthony. It's starting to add up that this could be potentially a season of destiny for McDonald. But lying in the lurking, I should say, in the shadows, Mogador. And Mogador is, boy, they are rough and tumble.
They're that lurking storm cloud in Division 7. They're that one that everyone knows about. They've always been good. We've talked about on the Yak Cast. They're a premier team in this division. Before it was even 7. I mean, they've been in 6 before. But whatever division they're in, you kind of know Mogador is there in the region. And if you want to win a regional, you got to go through Mogador. And some teams have in the past, but most teams haven't. So McDonald has that task next. They're going up against the team that has kind of owned their division for a long time, and they have to find a way through it. Now, the way they've been playing, Mogador better watch out. This is not going to be a pushover. It's going to be a very good game, very competitive. I think McDonald definitely has the pieces, the weapons to go up against Mogador. My question, I guess, and everyone's question in this game is, what kind of factor does the aura around Mogador play? And can McDonald play loose, play fast, play physical, not make those kind of tight mistakes that you see in a regional final in a spot that this football team, these players haven't been in a regional final before. So obviously Mogador has. How much does that play a factor? We'll find out on Friday.
I think that, if you're playing Mogador, you're seeing ghosts, right? You're seeing the yesteryears. Not that this year's team is not good, because they are. We saw what they did throughout the year. They are very good, and they are very talented, and they do not like to use that brake pedal. And that's fine, because that's Ohio football, baby. But I will tell you this. I don't think that this is the same teams or same caliber of team that Mogador has run through over the last 13 weeks. McDonald is, as you said, built different. And they can hurt you in a multitude of ways. I think this is the one team, because football is about matchups, right? This is the one matchup that's very interesting that I'm not sure Mogador has all the answers for. They might have an answer here or an answer there, but you've got to be able to stop the water from coming in the boat if you're going to beat McDonald. And there's a lot of water that's out there on that lake. So we will see. I am excited for it. The potential for this game is absolutely crazy, is bananas, and cannot wait to be a part of it some way, shape, or form. All right, on to go ahead.
In Nordonia is that game's going to be at. So Mogador versus McDonald in Nordonia.
On to Division 5. where it got real interesting on a particular Friday night. Most recently, well, I should say that the first game that came to a conclusion were the Cardinal Mooney Cardinals. And did they just look unstoppable?
They did. I mean, kind of like McDonald, from the first time they got the ball, they set the tone and said, we know we're a little bit better. We know we're more physical. We're not going to mess around here, and we're just going to get through this game. And that's what they did. I mean, the way that Garfield could have had this game was if Mooney was kind of playing a little bit lackadaisical, or where they didn't put their foot on the gas pedal to start. Garfield's a team that can kind of take momentum away in that way. No, Mooney said, we're not here to mess around. We're going to take care of business from the very first time we get the ball. And that's what they did. And that's the hallmark of a championship caliber team, one that doesn't mess around, doesn't wait until the second half to turn things on. Just from the get-go, here's our tone, here's our talent, here's our physicality. Try to stop it. And this night Garfield couldn't.
And there was a lot of chatter. I mean, we put this particular post up, and then there was another one. We did the highlights. Greg McAfee did the highlights for us. And there was a lot of chatter around Cardinal Mooney. They're just a magnet for haters at this point. I'm pretty sure we will have one of those magnetic young men on our show here in about 15 minutes, I believe. Ike Lake is scheduled to join us. Hopefully all is well with Ike, and we'll break it down with what I think is one of the areas, if not the area's top running back option in this particular region, because boy, oh boy, he's a stud. He's run through defenses that have shredded up running backs for generations, and he's run through them, run past them. He's a dog.
Derp, you can't. We taught you a lesson. You can't throw shade at Mooney's quarterback anymore. No, Vince Gentile is the real deal, man. We had him on the show, and Derp was silent.
Yeah,
so,
Derp wasn't there that day.
Where were you, buddy?
And we'll get to that in a minute. But I will say this: in not just defense of Vince Gentile, Vinny balled out on Friday, and he's been doing it. It's like people sit there and they go, okay, well, yeah, I don't necessarily think that this person's good. Oh, Ike Lake will run for 300 yards. Oh, I don't think Vince Gentile is good. Oh, he'll just throw it over everybody's head into the end zone to his receiver, the way they drew it up. Mooney is back. They're back. This isn't – maybe it is your mom's or dad's Mooney from yesteryear that it should strike fear in you, because this isn't what they've been for a while now. They are back. The names of yesteryear, Braylon Hurd, the McCarthys, the Pellinis. I mean, you're talking about like these guys, you're going to be talking about Vince Gentile next year. You're talking about him now. Ike Lake is having a career year, and he missed time. It's unbelievable what Mooney has been able to draw up this year in the first year under Frank Colprete. It's the first year, and he has done so well, and I'm so impressed, and I'm going to gush about it because, I mean, how many times do we sit there and we watch coaches, and it takes 1 year, 2 years, 5 years to get into their bag a little bit. And these kids are believing in themselves. Pretty much the same roster as last year. They lost, obviously, some seniors. They got dudes. And were those dudes just waiting to be, uncovered? Were unearthed? What? But here they are, heading into week 14 against, again, what I would argue as we turn the table to by the way, hey, Garfield, good year. Great year. Great year. And then now they get this. An absolute bloodbath, 28-27 game, another 1-point win, the second of the year against this particular program. Girard beats Poland. And boy, oh boy, Anthony, it was everything we could have asked for. And it was I don't know that Girard's got practice today. I don't know that for sure because, man alive, They need a
Uh,
day, I would imagine.
I think when they do get in the practice, one thing Coach Pearson is going to talk to about, like, we can't have the penalties we had, because if we self-inflict wounds against Moody, we're going to be in trouble. Both teams, this was a game where the flags were flying. There were a lot of penalties in this game on both sides, and that that can't happen against Mooney. You can't have losing 10 yards procedural penalty. You can't have a hold that sets you back 10 yards. You can't have personal fouls that give the other team 15 yards. You got to clean that up. Outside of that, I don't think you find a flaw in Gerard's game. I mean, this was almost a carbon copy of the first Poland matchup. The only flip side was Poland was the one that had the opportunity to take the lead with the 2-point conversion. They could not execute that one, and Gerard's the one that wins by 1 point, but it almost just flipped the script from game one. It was very close to doing that. This time around, Gerard, though, the defense just had that one stop. They needed that one stop. And who was it?
Alan
The guy
Cardona.
Like the defender in Gerard that you can always count on to make a big play, and he was right there to make the one play they needed to win that game. And then the offense got the ball back. They needed a couple first downs. They did their job. They got it, and they sat on the ball, and Poland never got it back. So props to Gerard for, we said it again with a couple other teams, making those game-winning type plays in the playoffs. It's not easy, especially when you're younger. And they did. They made the game-winning plays. They didn't make every play out there. There are plays out there that the coaching staff will say, hey, here's a play we have to make. Here's something that we missed. Here's something we missed. But when it came down to those game-winning type plays, Gerard was there to make them. And that's a team that's hard to beat. Teams that can make those plays consistently are hard to beat.
They are. And I will tell you this, the defense stood tall for Gerard. And Poland had its fair share of opportunities to punch it in throughout the night, take advantage of opportunities. Mm-hmm. Gerard, bend but don't break, right? And there was a lot of chances. And the other thing is I despise. I know it's unfortunate. Injuries are going to happen.
Yep.
But if you're Poland, they're not hiding behind any of the injuries that happened late in the game that really opened up the door for AJ to be running around. It's a chess match, right? If you give up, I don't even know chess, but I know if you give up one of your king, it's over basically. Checkmate.
That's checkmate.
Right?
That's checkmate.
And you sit there and you look at what from an onlooker standpoint, we knew something changed with Poland's defense. We didn't know what, because we were flipping around from game to game. We knew something happened. When you start understanding after the game what happened, when you talk to the announcers, okay, gotcha. It starts to add up. Mm-hmm. But I loved at the end of the game Tom Pavlansky putting the ball in the hands of his quarterback, going for two, and saying, listen, we're going to see them again next year no matter what. We're in the same conference. This isn't like we're going to hide something. Like, we're going at you. You did it to us. Now we're going to do it to you. Now, Gerard obviously gets the better of that play with AHC coming through. But I will tell you this. I would be willing to bet Poland would choose that same situation time after time. Maybe a different play. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know if everybody's just covered. I don't know if they were just going to try to get Zippolita around the corner. Andy was calling for power belly right or whatever he was calling for.
Andy was calling them for get under center the whole game. He wanted Poland under center with the power run and stop doing the read. And when they listened to him, it really worked. But just to play, like, I agree with the decision. I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit just for the sake of conversation. The difference between the Gerard one or in the regular season, this one, was there was still time left. So even if Poland gets 2-point conversion, Gerard has 3 minutes and I think all 3 timeouts to get down, and all they need is a field goal. When Gerard did it back in the regular season, there was like no time left. There was like, hey, we either win it here or we go to overtime. Right. That's it. So that's the only difference there. So that's like the juggling act. Like, do we tie it up and go play defense? At least so we know if our defense can't, like, our defense has to at least let them score. It's not just a first down, the game's over.
But
the other side of it is obviously if you get the 2-point conversion, they have to score. Like Gerard has to score, or the game's over. So you put that extra pressure on them with 3 minutes to go. So I do agree with going for it, but there is that extra caveat to this decision where there was still time on the clock. If you made it, Gerard still had the opportunity to get the ball back and go down and score.
I see all of that, and I appreciate all of that. But from a standpoint of just watching the flow of the game, Gerard was doing whatever they wanted on offense because there was, for whatever reason, right? You can sit there and you can say, well, Poland had injuries that they were dealing with, and it was hard to kind of solidify the middle where AJ Pearson was finding all kinds of running room. Anybody that was running the ball, they were finding running room in the middle. They were using that option to maximum effect, which was really doing wonders. But we saw the last drive. Gerard literally just got every first down they wanted to, and then they just chipped away at the clock. So I think kicking the extra point was the safe play, but Gerard probably was going to go down and punch it in if it was a tie game. Which
would have been a game-winning even if they were up by 1. So
but if you're down by 1, there's more pressure because you know that there's a comfortability knowing you're going to overtime. And I've never been in that situation. You're going to overtime. So you mean, but if you're down 1, there's a little bit of urgency because you've got to either put the football through the uprights and win it on a field goal, or most likely you're going to put the ball in QB1's hands, who has been an MVP all year long, and try to punch it in the end zone. And the way that Gerard was moving the ball, Tom Pavlansky, in my opinion, had the right call, and I would put it in my offense's hands as well, even though they both had nice special teams.
You just wonder how much of the fact that Gerard did it the first time was in the back of their head.
What are you talking about?
Because Gerard did that to Poland in the first meeting. They got a 2-point conversion to win the game. So you wonder how much that kind of got in the head a little bit of, okay, let's just do the same thing to them. Like they did it, it worked. Let's just use that formula and do it to them.
I don't think it has anything to do with the other guy doing it. I think it has everything to do with who you believe in and who you want. Hey, winners want the ball, right? Isn't that what they said in replacements? And it's pretty true. And why would you not want the ball in the hands of your best weapon and your most we saw what Zippolita kept the game going on 4th down when he went right up the middle, right? And it did that slide.
Yeah, because it was 3rd and long, and maybe 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, somewhere around that. It was 3rd and not manageable, and he found a little path in the middle of the field and got the first down. So that was a big play to keep that drive going, and I believe he scored the touchdown too, to even give them the opportunity to go for 2. So yeah, I don't disagree with the play call. I don't disagree with the decision to go for 2 at all. I was just, for argument's sake, doing the other side of that conversation.
Devil's advocate. I can appreciate that.
Yep.
But I think when you're talking about high school kids, high school student athletes, you always want the ball in the hands of a playmaker, right? Because there was an option to pass it there, and he just did. Hes Cardona did an awesome job just cracking through that line for Poland and finding his way to Zippolita and just wrecking it. And the other thing was, then they had to do the onside, right?
Yeah.
And it was, they had no shot at it.
They tried kicking it up the middle and rushing it. It just went a little bit too far. It was kicked a little bit too hard. Onside kicks are hard. They're really hard to do, especially in college when you can't jump, so you can't pop it up in the air and have your guys jump to get it. So you have to get it off the ground. You have to try to kick it and hope that it hits a player and bounces off. So onside kicks are not easy to get. So
you can't jump in college.
What?
Did you say you can't jump in college?
In high school, you can't jump for you can't meet together and jump in the air for. I believe. I think you have
really.
I think that's a rule. I think that's a protection safety rule in the onside kick for high school. I don't think you can pop it up in the air and then have your guys jump up to get it. I think you have to be on the ground or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a rule in high school. I could be wrong.
It's funny you say that because I wondered that, because usually you want that 2 or 3 bounce and then the pop up.
Yep.
Wow. I wonder, that might be a safety thing, but I know one I learned on Friday night that you have to have 5 and 5 on each side. You have to have the same amount on each side for an onside kick, which I did not know. because it used to be everybody's on one side and you just attack.
Right. And that's probably a safety thing too. So you don't have 11 guys in a very small area running all at each other. Or I should say 10 because the kicker would be your 11th. But so it's probably a safety thing too to make sure there's 5 and 5 so you don't have, a classic, battle collide with everybody all in a very small part of the field. Probably a recipe for a high risk injury there.
Yeah, I mean, it's football, man. I don't know. Like, I understand you want safety, but it's train or car wrecks.
It's
every
same
play.
like high school. You can't jump over people. Like there's a couple of rules in high school that are just built. You're just built for a little bit more safety, I guess.
Well, I mean, did you see the hurdle yesterday by the Steelers tight end, Washington? Oh my gosh. You imagine 400 pounds coming down on you. Maybe that's why they don't hurdle. There should be a weight limit on hurdling. That'd be terrifying. That'd be like a freighter jet coming down and just crashing on you.
My favorite are when the guys gamble. They're like, I think I should hurdle, and then the defender never goes low, and they're hurdling into a brick wall. That's when bad things happen. But it's also it's called.
It happened yesterday.
To watch a little bit.
It happened yesterday in the Steelers game as well, where he tried to hurdle and then he just kind of planted and pushed forward. Well played. But he's Samoan. He can probably do that stuff better than a guy that talks on a podcast. That was interesting to watch. The fact of the matter is, it was a great week. Whether there were wins or losses, it was a great week for football, and I am super excited for Week 14, the regional championships, man. To see Mooney take on Girard. I think that's the one everybody's got circled. Obviously, we already talked about Hoban and Walsh Jesuit, but when you're talking about Girard and Mooney, people are looking at this one, and it just depends on what side of the fence you sit on. I'm just cheering for a great game because I think that's what we're going to get no matter what. But, man, you have arguably the area's most valuable player on one side with Girard's A.J. Pearson, and you've got a bunch of guys that feel like they've been slighted all year in Mooney, and how does nobody give Mooney a chance in this game? That's what I'm trying to figure out because, listen, I get it. Girard's got weapons. Have we not seen the Mooney weapons that they've literally sat there and pointed to and say, hey, we got this, we got this. Oh, you want defense? We got that too. You want special teams? We got that too. I mean, this could be, as much as Gerard Poland was game of the year, game of the century, whatever you want to call it, this could be for the bragging rights for the next 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. And you look at both these teams bring back a lot of this roster. So, like you said, this could be a matchup that we don't just see this year. It could be a matchup that we see in the same division. It could turn into a playoff rivalry in the next couple of years. If things line up right, obviously everyone has to stay healthy, and no season's guaranteed. But both these teams look like not only can they make a run this year, but they're set up where they're going to be really good next year too. So this could be a rivalry that we see in the division for a long time.
Well, the other thing is, Ant, that people aren't talking about, and I'll put it out there, there's a potential for both of these teams to move up. Mm-hmm. If you remember right, both of these teams were Division 4 just a few years ago, and they moved down. So
and they're both teams that are kind of on the teeter. They're not one of the smaller teams in Division 5 by any means. So they're always on that little teetering spot of being in Division 4. So that would be interesting because then they go from being one of the bigger teams in Division 5 to one of the smaller schools in Division 4, and that'd be a big juxtaposition a little bit too.
Which is interesting furthermore because we have a lot of those teams that are like that. I mean, I've heard rumblings that Canfield is teetering to go to Division 4.
Canfield's always that team that's like they're on the edge of the division line too. I remember back when basketball only had 4 divisions. Canfield was D2, but they were like one of the smaller teams in D2. And then when they switched divisions, obviously they went to 7 and everything. Now they're D3, but they're one of the bigger teams in D3. So they're never in the middle. They're never in the middle. They're never kind of comfortable in their size. They're always either really, really big for their division or they're really small for their division.
Which is crazy. I mean, all of this, we love, I will say this, obviously we love sports. I love sports where it is right now. I mean, to think about last year, you had South Range and Poland in the regional final. This year, you've got Poland and Girard in the regional semis. You've got, Mooney and Garfield in the regional semis. And now you've got Mooney and Girard in the regional finals this year for Division 5. Like, Division 5 is the sweet spot for us right now. And that could change, certainly, depending on what teams go up, what teams go down. I've heard there's a particular other team in the MVAC that might be on their way into Division 5, perhaps. Rumblings over there. Nobody worth crediting as a source, but I will tell you that, hey, open enrollment's a real thing, and this team might end up in D5, which could be really interesting. And you've got Liberty that's in there, and Liberty's not done yet. So, man, it's D5's fun. We said it was going to be a fun ride, and we're right in the midst of it, right in the thick of it. But I will tell you that Liberty Center is watching all the stuff that we're bringing to the table, and they're saying, okay, keep talking.
Liberty Center, this isn't YSM, but I had my eye on it because it was one of the most premier games in the state. They were playing Liberty Benton, who was also undefeated. Very good team. I think there was a little chatter on social media beforehand that fired Liberty Center up because they won 42-10. It wasn't even close. It was supposed to be a really good game. The numbers said it was going to be a really good game. I think Drew Pasteur probably had a pretty good game. It wasn't. Liberty Center ran all over that team. So Liberty Center's fired up right now. And I saw there was on TikTok the pregame speech that I don't know who it was, but their leader gave to them. It fired me up. I was like, okay, this Liberty Center team, they want this game really bad, and they proved it, 42-10 over Liberty Benton.
I just remember last year when South Range came across Liberty Center. Whoa. That got out of hand in a hurry. I mean, it was 14-0. South Range somehow mustered up a 14-14, and then it was just all Liberty Center after that. And I just remember thinking, this wasn't a bad South Range team.
No.
And it was people were already comparing it to the 22 Raiders that won the state championship and that beat Ironton in the state championship. I'll never not say that, by the way. And then there's a real interesting, but what about that? And it's the same thing as, Kirtland was a D5 team. Now they're in D6 and they're the belle of the ball in Division 6. Marion Local is the belle of the ball in D7. So I had this conversation this weekend with a dear friend of mine. You look at Mogador and McDonald. You look at, East Palestine with that great year that just got pumped by Mogador. You look at D6 and Ridge and everything that we have going on in D6. Everybody looks to those teams and they're like, okay, we've got a successful season, but what do we got? What's waiting for us in the wings? And it's not like these teams can't be beat. You're going to put your best foot forward, but history's certainly on their side. They've been there. They've done that. And, correct me if I'm wrong, Marion Local won 74-0 in the state championship last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they just won their 76th consecutive game in week 13. So they're a team that is not lost in a long time. And I think they're halfway towards the country's longest win streak in any sports history, really. But high school, of course, 151 is the mark to beat. But they're halfway there. 76.
151. Was that in football?
California De La Salle. There's a movie about it with Jim Caviezel called "When the Game Stands Tall." But yeah, they won 151 straight games without losing.
Wow. That's that's crazy.
And then they lost the streak, and they still went on to win the state championship that year. So,
yeah, I mean, there's got to be one, right? You talk about, as a wrestling fan, Undertaker went undefeated for a while at WrestleMania, and then Brock Lesnar beat the streak. I don't want to hear any of you marks out there saying how it was pre-scripted. I don't care. It's still the same thing. It's real to me, damn it. But honestly, it's there's going to be a time where that streak will come to an end. But will it be one of our teams? I'm not sitting here saying, hey, you guys, but hey, enjoy the ride, because we could sit here and pat you on the back all you want, but it's never fun to lose. Never once has it been, hey, that was a lot of fun. Maybe when you're little, that was a lot of fun. We still got ice cream? No. Okay, this sucks. But
I said at the top, the further you go, the harder those losses are. The closer you get to the prize, the more it stinks to lose. This is how
I don't know.
everything is. That's how sports is. That's how life is. The closer you get to something you really, really want, if you don't get it, the more it kind of hurts that you didn't get
it. We will not have Ike today. We will not have Ike today. His teacher says no. Okay, no problem. Hey.
Okay, we're not going to mess with the teachers. We're good.
Education. We're all about that. And I don't have any control. So if you wouldn't mind giving the Joe Dickey Electric queued up here, and I'll do the spot. It is time for the Joe Dickey Electric. What is your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical and just like YSN. Available to you 24/7, 365 at DickeyElectric.com. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't put the graphic out unless you're 100% sure that it's. So we will. We'll get Ike. Don't worry. I think I got him for later this afternoon. But shout out to Ike for doing his best to try to get on the show today. We'll talk to him about the greatness that he has incurred and been part of at Mooney this year. How excited he is to be in the regional final. All of that stuff. But spark. And you know what? You go first.
All right. My spark is we always talk when we're talking on signing day. We talked about it last week. D3 is just as good as D1. If you're signed on to a team, if someone wants you, that is very special. And I think there's a lot of people out there that when they hear someone say that, they're like, yeah, but it's still like, come on, it's D1, D3. A team called Scranton kind of proved that theory a little bit wrong over the weekend. Girls basketball, women's basketball. Scranton D3 goes to Pitt D1 Power 4, and they get the win at Pitt. Is one of the biggest upsets in basketball history, probably, when you're thinking D3 upsetting D1. But just proving that athletes are everywhere. If you are a college athlete, you are good, you are talented, you belong on that stage for a reason. And so congratulations to Scranton, proving people a little bit wrong that say that there's no place in D3 or D3 is not special or D3, you don't have the opportunity to be great. You still have that opportunity wherever you're going. D3 Scranton goes into Pitt, beats the Panthers, which is a monumental win for that program. Congratulations, and it's a great story for college basketball.
D3. Love it. Love to see. I mean, hail to Pitt, but at the same time, D3 all day. Mine is, it's real interesting. I could be very vague, have to be very vague, but I will tell you that don't buy in necessarily to the hype around, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids unless you actually find out that it is about the kids, because usually it's all about the Benjamins and it's all about control. And what I'm going to tell you is we are doing everything that we possibly can. Yes, we are a for-profit business, and we will be forever. As long as I'm at the helm, that's the way it'll be, because that's what I believe in. But what I will tell you is, at the end of the day, most people understand kind of the way you're the cut of your jib, so to speak. They understand what you stand for and why you do what you do, even when it comes to business. And there's some entities in this world that all they care about is the money, the power, and making sure that they stomp out things that stand for that good and righteousness in the world. You're going to find out stuff later on this week. I'm certain that is not going to make very many people very happy. But I need you to understand that we're doing everything in our power to do what we can to continue this march, to continue this service that we provide each and every week. And at the risk of getting our hands slapped again, we will continue to do it, and we will do it the right way with maturity, and we will do it with the best interest in our hearts and in our minds, and that best interest being the student athletes coaches, and communities that we represent each and every day right here on YSN. That is my spark. For Anthony Hartwig, 8-time best-selling author, Grammy Emmy Award winner, world traveler, Nobel Peace Prize nominee. My name is DJ Yoakley. We will see you tomorrow. We'll be better tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. And we might have an Ike Lake interview to run tomorrow. But until then, we are so hoping that you have a great day and an even better sports night ahead of you. Anthony, may the sports be with you, pal.
And you, my friend.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.